Himalayas. The Himalayas are a mountain range in South Asia, separating the Indian subcontinent from Tibetan Plateau. It is also the name of a massive mountain system that includes the proper Himalayas, Karakoram, Hindu Kush, and clusters of minor ranges. The meaning of Himalaya in Sanskrit is Tat Purusha, meaning the abode of snow, which is not correct. There exists a word Tat Putra, Tattu Putrin, in Tamil, which may mean adopted son. Accordingly, Tat Purusha may correctly mean adopted manhood or human being. In other words, the Himalayas, the plains of the Indian subcontinent, and the lands from Kashmir to Kanyakumari are equated to a human being with human anatomy and organs. Himalaya alone specifically refers to the head of a human body. Himalaya is associated with Shiva, regarded as his residence and sometimes equated to Shiva's head. This interpretation will be well understood when the reader goes through the later chapters. For an ordinary layman, the Himalayan mountains are just a northern part of India. Yes, that was technically also correct for ancient undivided India. But today, the Himalayas stretch across 5 nations: Bhutan, China, India, Nepal, and Pakistan. Ancient Vedic texts have imagined the Indian subcontinent as a human being with the Himalayas as the head of the body. Thus, there were no separate nations like today. The Himalayan range encompasses a very large number of glaciers. The higher regions of the Himalayas are snowbound throughout the year despite their proximity to the tropics, and they form the sources for several large perennial rivers, most of which combine into 3 large river systems: Vis Indus River, Ganga Brahmaputra River, and the Yangtze River. These rivers flow into the plains and convert them into fertile and rich lands. How did the Himalayas come into existence? Archaeologists say about 90 million years ago, the Indian plate split from Madagascar off the east coast of Africa, and between 50 and 55 million years ago began colliding with Asia. The collision with the Eurasian plate along the boundary between India and Nepal-Bhutan formed and created the Tibetan Plateau and the Himalayan mountains. This emergence is called Swayambhu, meaning self-emerged. Swayambhu Manu is a very commonly used word in the Vedas. Swayambhu Manu is medically known as a zygote in a developing human body. A zygote is a fertilized egg or ovum, created through a collision or union between the sperm cell and an egg cell. The zygote begins its life or progression as a single cell. The Indian plate is a major tectonic plate that is currently moving towards the northeast. This movement is causing the Eurasian plate to deform and the Indian plate to compress. The Indian plate is also currently sliding under the Burma plate, a minor plate in the eastern Indian Ocean. Burma is presently called Myanmar. The movement of the Indian plate into the Asian plate is making this region seismically active, leading to earthquakes from time to time. The Indian plate's northeasterly movement ultimately results in its moving away from the Eurasian plate on the western side of India. The Kashmir earthquake on October 8, 2005, killing nearly 75,000 people, confirms this. How is this relevant to the Vedas of Indus culture? This tectonic movement or activity has a close and inseparable relationship with the Indus Valley civilization. Its displacement and/or its disappearance, this and the emergence of the Thar Desert and other water-related natural catastrophes contributed to the Indus Valley civilization's disappearance. The Himalayan region is also dotted with hundreds of lakes. Lake Mansarovar lies at the base of Mount Kailash on the Tibetan Plateau. It is said to be the source of the rivers Brahmaputra, Indus, Ganges, and other smaller rivers. Mansarovar is the highest freshwater lake in the world. The lake is considered holy for present day Hindus, and many embark on a pilgrimage every year to visit this lake. Do we know why it is considered holy? According to Hindu mythology, Mansarovar is said to have been created by Brahma and is also supposed to be the summer abode of swans, which are considered wise and sacred birds. A swan is said to be capable of separating milk and water in it. Is it true? We can discuss this in the later chapters designated to Brahma and Saraswati. As mentioned earlier, the Himalayas are equated or depicted as the head of Lord Shiva in Hindu mythology. Ganga emerges from a nest created from the matted hair of Shiva, and so does Lake Mansarovar in the Himalayas. Thus, the real meaning of Tat Purusha is adopted man. The word Purusha means man or human. It may not be correct in Sanskrit to say that Tat Purusha means the abode of snow. The point here is that anything and everything, be it geographical or other information on ancient India, was attributed to the Vedas and instantly adopted into Hinduism or Hindu mythology. Since the Vedic texts depict Himalaya as the head of a person, Lake Mansarovar becomes the cerebral fluid and the swan becomes the brain floating on it. Thus, the swan, in other words, the brain, becomes a wise bird that can identify good and bad, separating milk and water. This quality of separation is known as Nira Kshira Viveka. Shira, lactus, means milk or doodh or dugdha, which contains all elements necessary for the growth and nutrition of bones, nerves, muscles, and other tissues of the human body. These nourishing qualities can be found in the cerebral fluid which supports the brain. Just as the rivers originating in the Himalayas nourish and control the plains of India wherever they flow, the brain at the head, known as Himalaya, controls the human body. The thalamus and hypothalamus are very important locations in the brain that organize, control, and regulate the human body. Mount Kailash, the mythological residence of Shiva and Parvati, is the medical equivalent of thalamus and hypothalamus. The pituitary gland releases hormones that affect growth. The hypothalamus links the nervous system and endocrine system through the pituitary gland. The hormones are released into the bloodstream, which circulates throughout the human body like the Himalayan rivers that flow into the plains of India. The teachings of the sacred bird swan, called brain, identifying good and bad, true or false, have been left high and dry by the present day Vedic followers, who have taken the bird alone, minus its qualities, to the plains. Let us leave the bird called the brain on the mountains and walk through the plains, meaning the other parts of the human body, with their teachings. Yes, we are stepping down from the head, Shiva's head, to other parts of the human body to learn more about them in accordance with the narration in Vedic texts and related Puranas.